most metrics. Wazoo's former signal caller is out there, going to get paid and paid big. These are 5 places that could use him, and that might be the best fits. In one that it would be a jump for them, but it would help them, remain competitive, and it was the biggest thing about their team that was inconsistent this year. Number 5, Miami. Look, if you're going to start throwing some portal money around, throw it at somebody who's definitely going to produce. And I know that they had expressed interest. There was those reports out there about, of course, everybody has, but this is a team that was a quarterback away, I think, from contending regularly this year. Tyler Van Dyke really regressed. He's in the portal as well. They've got young quarterbacks on the roster, but if Miami wants to make hay while the sun shines for Mario Cristobal in year 3, this is probably a move that they need to make, and maybe not Cam Ward, but going out and getting a transfer quarterback. But he could take them into contention with the roster that they're starting to build at Miami in the ACC. He could bring them there. But, to me, that's a bit of a stretch. If you're Cam Ward, you probably want money plus chance to really contend in the playoff, and Miami is on the furthest possible rung of the ladder out of that, being a team that finished 6-6 again this year.
Yeah, if they're throwing around money, then you at least entertain the idea of going to South Beach. I don't know Cam Ward or his motivations, his interests. For some guys, that would be a pull. For some guys, that would be a reason to not go and go somewhere else where it's a bit more maybe of a college town, or it's on the West Coast, or whatever people's desires are. But they are in need of a quarterback. Tyler Van Dyke coming back didn't turn out to be as great of a thing as some, including myself, thought it might have a chance to be. And it was a rough year for them, no doubt about it. I'm very curious to see where Tyler Van Dyke looks to rebound. I've seen various schools attached to his name, like every other guy that's in the portal right now. They've been rumored just about everywhere. even staying in the ACC and going to Duke. I've seen that quite a bit with Tyler Van Dyke. But, yeah, I don't know. Not knowing him personally, maybe this would be an absolute fit like a glove for Cam Ward and his personality or his desires. But I don't know. I do think that there is something missing if you're looking for more than just the money and the location, and you're looking for, I want to go win a national title, then, I don't think Miami's your spot for next season. No, I do think they have a good – they've got good players on the roster. They've got better players on the roster. Mario Cristobal's improved them there. They're just bad at quarterback, and they've had a couple games where coaching decisions really, really hurt them. Number 4, LSU. Look, it's right now it's Garrett Nussmeier or bust, and Mike Scarborough just came on and said that maybe they get somebody who would be more of a depth piece as opposed to that for Garrett Nussmeier. But I don't know, man. If he wants to come there, I think you've got to consider him, especially given how good they've been at the skill positions. Even losing what they're losing Neighbors and Thomas, but. I don't think that's going to I don't think it's going to slow down their wide receivers and what they've done with that position for a while, Garrett. But I think this is this might not be where they might not be interested, and Brian Kelly might not be kind of out on this and more concerned about fixing that defense. But to me, given his skill set and what you just had, I think it works.
It would, and the track record LSU has had with getting like you mentioned, getting the quarterbacks out of the portal, I think it would be good. He would have the offensive line to work with. I just don't know. Like Craig mentioned, we'll go with Miami. At this point, if you're Cam Ward, you've got to go somewhere to win a championship, right? Other than getting money, if you're going to stay in college, to me, you want to go somewhere to where you can actually win a championship. And with LSU right now, I don't think they're close to winning a championship. I'd be a little apprehensive to go there. You would have the line, but you're going to a situation where you're more than likely going to have to win, or the weight on your shoulders to win each week, and I don't necessarily know that he wants that at this point in his career.
Yeah, I'm sure it's appetizing in a lot of different ways, but you have to score 50 every week to win games, and it's also more crowded with Texas and Oklahoma now and there, so what does that all look like? He's not scared of competition. I'm sure he'd love to play in the SEC. He wouldn't be fearful of that in any way, but, I will say, too, I know LSU's produced receivers as well as anybody, but losing those two guys is still a pretty massive freaking loss. I don't care who all you brought into the program. And Brian Thomas, barely gets talked about in comparison to Neighbors, I feel like. And yet, that's going to be a hole even for LSU to have to fill next year. So, yeah, it's not as simple as just, here's the next, Jefferson, here's the next Neighbors, here's the next Thomas. Those guys are probably there in some form or fashion, and there's always the portal as well. But, those are two pretty studly dudes you're going to be losing.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to diminish them, but saying. No, you're right. Number 3, USC. I know that they have Malachi Nelson, but he's just a true freshman this year. Miller Moss, who is one of the other quarterbacks on the roster, is also in the portal. It would seem to me that Lincoln Riley needs to make a splash, and he's the quarterback whisperer and all that. But their bigger deal is defense, and they need to improve that. Now, maybe Lynn, their new defensive coordinator, helps them on that side of the ball. But to me, USC, especially with what they throw around NIL-wise, would seem to maybe be a fit for Cam Ward and staying there on the West Coast. And I don't think that with the way the USC operates when it comes to the portal that you can really count them out on any of the bigger name people.
No, I do think at some point Malachi Nelson's going to want to play, though.
Yeah.
And so is there going to be another year-long wait for him to be ready, or for any other quarterback potentially coming up the pipeline? But, yeah, I mean, it would make sense that he's already out there on the West Coast. Not that travel really matters here at all, but yeah, I mean, Lincoln Riley, quarterbacks want to play for the guy. Big-time quarterbacks have gone on to the NFL under his tutelage. I can see where that would be appetizing to anybody like a Cam Ward who's got those types of dreams. So yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's at least something you kick the tires on. LA, big money in the NIL, and a quarterback whisperer there as your head coach. That'd be fun for a lot of folks.
Number 2, Florida State. Losing Jordan Travis, he's not going to be back. I mean, he didn't have any eligibility left anyway. This is a program, clearly, 13-0. They've got linemen coming back. They're going to lose, Johnny Wilson, they're going to lose Keon Coleman. They're going to lose Trey Benson. But they've got a lot of good skill players coming back, a lot of, really up-and-coming wide receivers, guys that he could certainly help make better. No offense to Tate Rodemaker coming back next year, but I don't think that Florida State necessarily wants to go into the year with him being the guy, given what they do have coming back and how they could contend once again for the college football playoff at 12 teams. So, and a lot of this is going to come down to, money and fit, but I do think that, I mean, they're going to go get a portal quarterback, whether it's him or it's DJU or whoever. They're going to probably go get one. This is probably this is everybody's top target, but this is a really good fit, and Mike Norvell's offense is a really good fit for Cam Ward's skill set.
I don't know, if I was FSU, I'd probably go get 3 portal quarterbacks just to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You might have to
get all the quarterbacks I could, make sure that room's nice and stocked up and ready to go, just in case something were to happen. But no, this would make a lot of sense. I don't know that you get real thrilled about Rodemaker rolling into next season as the guy. I think he wants something a bit splashier than that, and more star power. And Cam Ward certainly has that. He's an electric player. So I can see where FSU would definitely be a potential landing spot, or anybody for that matter. They definitely seem like they're going to be rocking with a portal quarterback next season.
Yeah, and they've got they do like Brock Glenn, and they do like the kid they've got coming in, Luke Kromenuk, who's a 4 or 5 star guy, but depending on the service you look at,
they're not as good as Cam Ward is. Yeah,
no, but they're not as good. They like them, but they need somebody to space it out so that when it's a year from now, when it's time for those two to have the battle, then it's better than like, hey, here you go, guys, knock yourself out. And number 1, Ohio State. Look, they're losing receivers too, and Brian Hartline has been as good as anybody at replacing those. Losing 3, I mean, they're losing Julian Fleming. He's in the portal. They're probably losing Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ekuba, but Ibuka, I'm sorry, I always get his name wrong. But Kyle McCord was shoved out the door. I say shoved. There was a mutual parting of the ways there. And so since he's gone, and Devin Brown, who he beat out, is the only quarterback that's on the roster right now, including whoever you've got coming in as a true freshman, it would stand to reason that they think they're going to get somebody like Cam Ward. I don't know if it's Cam Ward, but to me, this is the one that they probably thought that they're going to get, or they're making a move on to see if they can get him. So we'll see at Ohio State, because he's the guy who can maybe get him over the hump to beat Michigan. But this was the one I would think is number 1. And if I'm Ryan Day, I've got to be pretty confident I'm going to get a guy who's going to be a better option to beat Michigan than the one you just pushed out the door, who only lost to them by 6.
Yeah, this one makes a lot of sense for all of the reasons that you listed. I think he'd be pretty dynamic in that offense and would have some good skill players to roll into and play with there with the Buckeyes. So, and they, have an affinity like LSU for having a pretty solid wide receiver group. Although, again, easier said than done replacing Marvin Harrison Jr. and yet they do it. They do it. They lose Jackson Smith and Jigba and various others, and they just keep on chugging along. So yeah, he'll definitely be surrounded by a lot of talent. I've seen that probably rumored as the most logical landing spot for him. Although there's obviously a lot of other guys that are out there, but him and the Buckeyes would seem to be a pretty good little matchup for sure.